Hello and welcome back to another video. Again, my name is David. I am the owner and operator and lead graphic designer of Lewis Creative Media, a local graphic design company. And I also serve in various capacities at the church, The Rock Church in Hobart, Indiana. And we have seen an increase as a community and even as an organization and as a belief system as a whole for the need for live streaming for church services. So in the last video, I gave you a tech rundown of how we have our cameras hooked up and the various technologies that you can use to connect cameras that you maybe already have to a computer that maybe you already have, just to go ahead and get yourselves up and running in a fashion that will look good. It'll be professional. It'll look nice. You can get audio in there that'll sound really good, and you can provide a church service opportunity to somebody who may be under quarantine or maybe sick, or even after this quarantine situation is over, maybe they're just unable to get out of the house for a weekend, or maybe they're out of town and they want to chime in. So this is a great opportunity to minister to those people. That being the case, I recorded last time's video and it looked great, gave you a lot of options there. And I referenced in that video that I would give you a bit of a rundown of our technology on our computer that we are using. That video is this video, so welcome to this video. First thing I want to say is that the program we're going to be demonstrating today is Wirecast. Not a sponsor. I think it's just a great company and a great program, and I have used their product for quite some time at various different locations and various different assemblies, and I love Wirecast's program. I think it's great, and I think it works really, really well for this application. And it works great for us, and I think it could work great for you if it's something that you're looking to do. So before we get into the computer, I just want to say they're not a sponsor, but if you want to be a sponsor of Wirecast, hit me up. My website is www.lewiscreativemedia. That's going to be right across the bottom of the screen here. You can hit me up, and I would love to work on a partnership with you. That'd be cool. So, also I wanted to give a quick disclaimer. The setup that we've got going on the computer today is what we have, or I have built for this particular assembly. This is not necessarily what's going to work for every church or every event that you need to live stream. The camera angles that we have in here that I'll show you may not necessarily work perfectly for every event in every church, but this is just the way we have it set up, and I'm going to give you a bit of a quick rundown of how that works. All right? Cool? Good? All right? Okay, cool. All right, cool. Cool. Yeah, cool. All right, let's just jump into the computer here and we'll get started. Hop on over. All right, here we are on our desktop, and we're going to go ahead and pull up, I've got it open already. We're gonna pull up the TRC Hobart setup for the live stream. Now, again, this is what's set up for us. This may not necessarily be the perfect setup for you, but we're going to go through it, and I'm going to show you how we have things assigned and set up and built so that maybe you can get some inspiration from it, or perhaps you can learn how to do it better than we did. So, heading back over to the computer. All right, so the beautiful thing about Wirecast is, from what they tell me through the software specifications, it's actually unlimited on the number of inputs for cameras. The only limitations are the limitations of your computer. Our computer right now, with the second camera that we just added the other day, is maxed out. So we only have enough space for what we currently have. If we were to add any other angles, they would have to be remote, which we will have a remote camera in here, and I'll show you how we would go about adding that. But for the purposes of this video, I don't have that set up because I would have to use my phone, which I'm also using as the camera to record. So that is pretty cool. You can have as many camera angles as you can have technology to connect them to your computer with. But you have 5 layers to work with. We are utilizing all 5 layers. Now, this is probably not the best way to do this, but let me just go through and show you how I have this set up. My design and my purpose behind this setup was so that we would have consistent audio throughout every single angle, every single video input, every single one of them. And there's a couple ways that you can do that. First of all, you can go through on each angle And I'm just gonna show you right here on this fourth layer from the bottom, or from the top rather. You can go through on each angle and you can change the audio source for whatever it is that you're using. We're gonna use the UMC 404 HD, which is the audio input that I showed you in the last video. That's what we have set for that one. And for this one, we're gonna change the audio source and we're gonna set it to that one as well. And what that does is that basically assigns the same input for audio to both angles, even though they're sending their own independent audio sources back to the computer. The phone would also have the same thing. Right now it's set as picking up the audio from my phone, which is not connected. The screen capture, same thing. It's pulling audio from itself. And this is just a video clip that I added in there for a background. That's what you see up here on the top. So, but what I've run into with this before is whenever you set it up so that each one of them, even if they have the same audio input or audio source identified, there is the possibility that when you're switching camera angles that it's trying to switch audio, even if it's switching to the same input, there could be some issues there. So what I've decided to do, and Wirecast, if you're watching this and you want to give me some pointers on this and tell me what's different than what I believe, feel free to hit me up in the comments down below. And or even if you're not Wirecast and you know better than me, please hit me up in the comments down below. And I'd be more than willing to accept your critiques on this. So what I've decided to do is when you open these angles up, let me get one there. I've gone through on the audio on these and I've basically just killed the audio because I don't necessarily need it. The audio from this one, I'll end up killing it because I'm not going to end up using it. Or I can go ahead and set it down here to the same input. Again, I'm not really going to need the audio from either one of those, or even from the screen capture. I can set it to that, but whenever I pull that screen capture over, I'm just going to mute that audio. So what I've done, and this may not be the most efficient use of these layers, but what I've decided to do is take the entire bottom layer and use it for an audio source. I've got it set up to receive that audio input, that broadcast mix from the audio interface that's coming from the Behringer X32. And that is just gonna be constantly there. I've always got that on whatever layer I'm choosing. And then as I'm building my next shot, you know, I'll add in here whatever, and then send it, and it sends that audio and everything over to the live feed. Gonna go ahead and clear all that back out, but I never clear this bottom layer. I always have that one going because that one is gonna be a constant audio feed. No matter what input we're choosing, no matter what overlays we're choosing, no matter what, that one's constantly gonna be there. So this is the way we have it set up. As you can tell on this fourth layer from the top, we've got camera one, which is the one, going back to the camera, that's the one that was right over here. The first one, the Sony camera, I can't remember the model number of it. PXW X70, I believe. So that one's this one here, and you can see that feed nice and clear, very sharp. Make sure that it's actually not that sharp because I forgot to change the resolution back up. All right, there we go. So you can see that angle nice and sharp with our cool hexagons that we installed a few weeks ago. And then you can see our camera 2, which is the Canon EOS Rebel, or EOS RP. Man, I should learn to talk before I do these videos. And you can see that angle here. Again, also very nice and sharp and clean. And I've adjusted the levels so that they're as close as possible to the same level of brightness and intensity value on the colors. It doesn't look like they're quite perfect, but they're close enough that the average casual viewer is probably not going to notice. And then we've got our third, which would be the mobile camera, which we don't have set up. And then our screen capture, which is our outputs to our main screen, so that any of our graphics that come through our main screen would also show up on here. And then we've got our motion background. Motion background goes in as a still video, and then it plays out as you show it on the live. The next layer up from that, we've got this, which just shows this is the Rock Church. This is how I have it set up right now as a test. And then I have a credit down here so that we can play a song or two through whatever music device that we're playing it through. And we can have that credited so we don't have any copyright issues. And then under the next one back from that, we just have that same main screen output in a lower third full screen there. And then we have it bracketed a little bit smaller in case one of our title slides can fit in that smaller window. We can just crop it down to fit. And then the next layer up here, which is the second layer from the top, we've got the list of lower thirds names of ministry staff. So we've got our pastor, we got me, some others in our church, and those are kind of filtered through as we need them. And then the top layer is our logo. I've got it set up right now where we have our logo in the bottom right and in the bottom left interchangeably so that we can move things from side to side. For example, if we're using a lower third, I'll put my name up there. Those are going to be bottom left, and then I'll need the bottom right logo so that whenever it shows on the screen, you can see them both cleanly. If we're using the lower thirds of the main projection screen, we'll need the logo on the other side so that we can have both of them on there. And same if we're going to do that kind of more squatty, cropped version of that screen. And as you can see, it does do some kind of intermittent transition-y type effects with those changes, which is pretty cool. So I told you in the last video that we were going to talk about how, and I was going to show you how we do audio delay. Now this is something that we're still in process of fixing. As it stands right now, we've had 2 services on this particular system. It's working very well, but both times that we've done it, we've had a little bit of delay that only showed up on the live stream. When we're watching it back in the computer, it actually doesn't show. So we're kind of trying to figure out exactly how to get that dialed in so that it looks and sounds as good as possible. But let me go ahead and show you on the computer exactly how you would go in there and delay that audio. So going back to the computer, the first thing we have to do is actually select the audio channel that we're using, which is that bottom layer down here. And we're just going to open that up. And you can actually see here, it's trying to pull video resolution, but there's really nothing to pull from that. And then the audio itself is here. I've got it set up so that both left and right come out of the same place so that it sends it both to the same side. You know what, I'm gonna go ahead and add those in, channel 1 and 2, just to make sure that we're getting it in both sides of the input. And then here is our audio delay. So our audio delay, I don't know why I had to go through all those to find it, because I'm not that smart. Our audio delay is going to be very minute. Now the video output from both cameras is going to be sending back at a slight delay, and they should be fairly well the same because they're running through basically the same kind of equipment. It's not exactly equipment to equipment. It's not perfectly synced up, but the delay should be pretty standard between the two of them. So what we've got to do is delay the audio enough so that it matches those video signals. Now, I don't know what that delay is, and I guess we can actually go through and Google it. So let's just hop over to the computer really fast. We'll just open this up and let's just type in here, how much of a delay is HDMI in audio? Or actually, it should be video. Looks like it could be as much as 68 milliseconds. If you know anything about time, milliseconds is, there are 20, I believe it's 29, either 24 or 29 milliseconds per second. I'll have to look that up to make sure. But if it's gonna be up to 68, I believe that would be anywhere from 2 to 2.5 seconds. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go ahead, going back to the computer here, we're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna add a 2-second delay on the audio. That might be a bit over the top, but we only will know when we check it. And if it's a little bit too much, then we can just go in here and we can back that down a little bit. So now that that's done, we can go ahead and close this panel. And then there we are. We have our audio delayed. We have both of our camera feeds in the computer. We've got all of our lower thirds and titles and logos built in. Our audio is going to set up, it has been set up so that it'll cover all of our angles, no matter what angle we choose. So we're set up basically to do exactly what we're meant to do for this season, which is live stream. So the only other thing we have to work on is our output. And I want to show you this one thing, and then we'll call this video quits. And if there's more things that need to be discussed in a future video, you can let me know in the comments below. The output is really important. So going back over to the computer, we're going to click output. We're going to come down to output settings. And I have found this to be something that has to be done pretty much every single time that you open the program to get ready to create a stream. You actually have to come in here. Now we've already got ours set up to record ProRes 1080 16:9 output directly to a special live stream footage folder on our desktop if we choose to record, which we don't necessarily always do. We've only really done that for a couple of projects that we wanted to pre-record and then share. However, we always Facebook Live. What's cool about this program is it's got it built in that you can actually go straight into the program, connect to your actual Facebook account, and live stream from the program without actually having to connect, get RTMP settings, anything like that from Facebook, which is fantastic. Makes it really simple, makes it really easy. So all you had to do is go on here and you can create your Facebook Live. In fact, I'll show you exactly how we did it. You come down here to the bottom left of this panel and you click add. And the first default is RTMP server, which is what you would have if you were doing something to do with like streaming to a website or trying to output your stream specifically somewhere. You have to plug in that RTMP address. We don't need to do that, because once you click this drop down here, you can actually come down here to Facebook Live, click that, hit OK. I'm going to hit cancel because I got it pulled up here. It'll come up here. You'll just rename it whatever you want it to be called. As far as the actual preset, you'll choose the destination as Facebook Live. You'll set the output settings, and there's multiple output settings here that you can do. We have ours set to 1080 at 30 frames, which requires a 4 megabits per second upload speed requirement. And then you got to come down here. You can choose an audio track if you want to. We don't really mess with that. I think that's a pro feature that we don't actually have access to through our program right now. Then you log in, there's me. You schedule it for later, or you can go live now, which we always leave it go live now. And then you can choose from pages that you can stream to, your profile, or groups. Now, one thing that I have found, and this is important to me because the way that we're doing our live stream, we're doing it to a closed group so that it's invitation only, and we can filter who we have a part of that and who can have access to those videos. One thing that I had to find the hard way was that you can't just stream to any group that you're an admin on. You have to be the actual owner of that group. I didn't realize this at first, and I was the admin on a special group that we had created for our church, and I could not find it in the program. So I had to go and create a special closed group that I owned, and then I could actually go in and set this up to stream to that group, and that's what we ended up doing. Back to the computer here, you can see you choose live stream, which is the way we have it. You choose whatever group or profile or page, and then you can come in here, title it, which we have to title it specially for every service. What we like to do is we like to change this front portion out with the title of the message that's being preached that day, and then we put the date here. For Sunday's services, I usually put Sunday, March, whatever. For midweek, I'll just do midweek Bible study, and I won't actually put a title in there. Then you can add a description if you like. The rest of this is kind of neither here nor there. And then you can come down here and click create. Now, if you look down at the bottom, you see location, how this RTMP link actually, or whatever just popped up here. If you recall, that was not there before I clicked that create button. That is the reason you have to come in here before every live stream and create your actual stream feed. If you don't do this, whenever you click the button that I'll show you in just a second, if you don't do this, it will actually just blink the button, the live stream go or whatever button, it'll blink and we'll never actually connect. So in a pinch, whenever you're about ready to start service and you've got 5 minutes to go or 5 seconds, you're about to start, don't wait until you've got 5 seconds to start before you go in there and create those RTMP settings. And it's not super complicated. It's literally as easy as clicking the button. Don't forget to click that create button, because if you do, and then service starts and you click that button, it won't start your feed. That's really, really important. So now that we have all these settings created and ready to go, we just click OK. I'm going to go ahead and click cancel because we're not actually going live. I'll click cancel there, and then you're ready to go. You're not streaming yet, but you are ready to stream. The only thing you have to do now is click this button right up here. I'm going to try and click around it. Maybe that'll show on the video. Click around it here, and this button will illuminate green, and that'll tell you that you're streaming, and it'll give you a countdown clock of how long you have been streaming. So that's the basics of it. That's all you really need to know to do live stream through the system that we have set up. We've gone through the cameras, we've gone through how they connect back, how we've extended those cameras out to their placement points. We've not gone through any settings on the cameras. If you want to see more information on that, comment below and I'll consider putting a video together that shows you how that works. You've seen how we get the audio from the board into the computer, and now you've seen exactly what program we use and how we have it set up. And if this is something that's beneficial to you, please take and use this. If you have questions, ask them. I'd be happy to help. But also consider, I do consultations, I do on-site installs, all kinds of stuff through Lewis Creative Media. So if there's anything that I can do for you, any service I can help you put online or film or record or photograph, anything that you need, I can be of service. And if I can, let me know and I'd be happy to do that. In the meantime, God bless. And I hope you have a great day. Happy streaming. And if I don't see you again before Easter, happy Easter, and, do it to it. I don't really know what that means, but eventually we'll figure that out. All right. See you later.